In this week's EV news, all car makers in the UK avoid ZEV Mandate fines for 2024. Nissan announced a partnership between their Sunderland plant and a new JATCO UK factory for EV powertrain. UK electric car charger rollout is being criticised for having a misguided strategy. And electric car sales are forecast to rise in 2025, but the UK will still miss its key target. Welcome back to another EV news. If you're here because you subscribed with notifications turned on after watching a previous video, then thank you so much for your continued support. For everyone else, over 70% of viewers of this channel are not subscribed. It's completely free to do so, and make sure that you don't miss out on any future videos whilst helping to grow the channel. So do me a favour, click that subscribe button and make sure notifications are turned on. If you have any news articles that you'd like to see featured in this EV news series, go to dothisnext.co.uk and submit the details of it. I'll review them and try and get them into future videos. I'm going to start featuring some of these user submission stories from next week onwards, so do get them in if you have some that you'd like me to talk about. Right then, without further ado, let's get on with the news, shall we? In 2024, no car manufacturer in the UK will face fines for not meeting sales targets due to flexibilities in the ZEV mandate. These flexibilities include borrowing credits from future years, which doesn't sound like the best idea to me on the face of it, but if you think about it, maybe it makes sense. If in future years you're going to greatly surpass the mandated amount, then borrowing some credits from that year might be okay. But it could also be a big sort of house of cards ready to fall down, so not so sure about that. But they can also earn credits by reducing the overall emissions of the range they sell, and of course they can trade credits with other manufacturers who may have gone way over the target, firms like Tesla who don't sell any internal combustion cars at all. All but one manufacturer actually managed to meet their target through a combination of what they actually sold and a little bit of these flexibilities on top. But Suzuki will need to purchase credits from other manufacturers if they are to escape the fines. So there'll be credits available, so they'll be able to do so. It's hardly surprising that Suzuki are the one on that list, because as far as I know, they don't actually offer an electric model at all. They have a couple of hybrids that they basically rebadge from Toyota, but they don't have any EVs, so it's no wonder that they're not able to meet anywhere near the ZEV mandate target. Although 382,000 EVs were sold in 2024, a 21% increase, as we've talked about on this channel quite a bit, the industry argues that it still needs help because demand for electric cars is not high enough. Car manufacturers are saying they're being forced into unsustainable discounts to attract enough buyers. And well, I guess you only need to look at some of the pre-registered cars that are available at big discounts to see that that might well be the case for some manufacturers and some models. But what do you think? Do you think that this demonstrates that the ZEV mandate's working because everybody's managing to meet it without fines? Or do you think the flexibilities that are available mean that manufacturers can just game the system a little bit anyway and trade credits and work their way up? I'd love to hear your opinion, and I'm sure you'll let me have it in the comments. Next up, Nissan's Sunderland plant will receive up to 340,000 EV powertrains annually from JATCO's new £48.7 million factory. Set to complete in 2026, the brand new JATCO plant just up the road from Nissan's factory in Sunderland, so ideally suited for this partnership, will create 183 jobs and will reinforce the UK as a hub for EV manufacturing. Welcoming a key supplier to the northeast of England provides a big boost to the efficiency of our supply chain, said Alan Johnson, who's the Senior Vice President for Manufacturing, Supply Chain and Purchasing for Nissan. Supported by a UK government grant, this initiative aligns with stringent EV mandates and aims to reduce costs amid rising competition. Now, investment in the car industry in the UK and in car manufacturing in the UK has to be a good thing. There's an awful lot of doom and gloom out there about how Chinese imports are killing everything off and manufacturers can't compete and all that stuff. So having that sort of integrated supply chain in place where they're buying their drivetrains that are being made just up the road from where they put them in a car sounds really good to me. And whatever your view might be on subsidies for the car trade and the fact that there'll be government money behind this, anything that can boost local manufacturing, I think, has to be good. But as always, let me know your opinion in the comments. Charger news now, and the UK's approach to installing numerous low-power chargers is being criticised as inefficient use of taxpayer funds. Experts argue that this strategy fails to meet the demand of EV users who need faster, higher power chargers. So what we're talking about here then is the rollouts of lamppost chargers. You know, you get a bunch of 3 kilowatt chargers in your street. Great if you live in a terraced house, in my opinion. If you need somewhere to charge, you've got a charger like right outside. It saves the bother of having to run cables around and any of those risks and stuff that people talk about. It definitely should be part of the mix, and it's something that I mean, we can maybe criticise in some ways, but I'm not sure should be outright called out as a waste of time. But according to the chief executive of charge point provider BEV, the official focus on numerical targets means that local authorities are rushing to install X number of low power chargers instead of delivering the infrastructure drivers will need. Now, I'm a bit torn on this because a company that provides rapids pretty much universal. I mean, the BEV do a little bit of destination charge and stuff too, but they're mostly a rapid charging company, right? They think that government money should probably be used to install more rapids and less slower chargers. I mean, I'm really shocked by this news, you know. But at the end of the day, when it comes to public charging, right sizing is the key for successful deployment of public charging, right? Putting ultra rapids everywhere isn't the answer, because all you're actually doing is applying the petrol station mentality to EV charging. You're assuming that everybody needs to fill up as fast as possible so they can be on their way. And I saw someone recently commenting on a local newspaper article about the fact the council are installing some destination chargers in one of their car parks. And they're saying, well, this is pointless because they're slow chargers and, you know, people don't need that. They need to be able to charge as quickly as possible and get on their way. But I mean, a council car park has to be the worst possible place to put some ultra rapids. This is a car park that people park in for 2, 3, 4 more hours, and therefore something that's going to charge your car in 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever is useless for that purpose. And actually what you want is a 7 or a 22 kilowatt destination charger that will charge your car over several hours whilst you're doing something else. And making charging this passive activity, and I talk about this a lot, when charging becomes a passive activity where it's happening while you do something else, you don't need to think about it anymore, and it actually starts to become more convenient than filling with petrol or diesel because you don't actually need to go out your way to charge. You just do it while you're shopping or working or whatever it is. And I think we need to move away from this focus that the only way you can possibly live with an EV if you don't have home charging is to just rapid charge it all the time as if you were filling it up with petrol. That being said though, I do think some of these concerns might well be valid. Blindly handing over government subsidies to local authorities on the basis that they install X thousand charge points isn't the right thing to do. And I do have concerns over just handing over control of all this charging to companies like Shell, who you will very happily work with councils to use exactly the subsidy amount that's available to install some lamppost chargers. And I'm sure the amount it costs to use them and maintain them is just going to go up and up and up over the years. I think it would have been good for us to have a Charge Place Scotland style organisation for the rest of the UK, or indeed roll it out as a UK national effort, because I think that is the right idea if it's done properly. I know things aren't all rosy in Charge Place Scotland, and unfortunately that's because of the fragmented nature of giving every council a say in what goes on in terms of maintenance and budgets and all that stuff. But the idea of a centralised charging network, probably in my opinion, is a better use of public money. It's to establish something that's actually sort of government run and can't have private companies, running riot over it. But obviously that's not what we have. But let me know what you think in the comments. Do we need to stop throwing money at local authorities to install lamppost chargers, and do we need more rapids, or is there a better way to get the infrastructure we need in the places we need it than what we're doing at the moment? I'd love to hear your opinions. And finally, DriveElectric forecast 440,000 EV sales in 2025, and that would make up 24% of the UK's total car sales. It says that the key drivers for growth in the UK are the introduction of more affordable electric vehicle models. We are seeing an influx of smaller, cost-competitive EVs, particularly from some of the new brands that are around. But that is, really going to attract people into EVs in 2025 and beyond. Of course, we're always seeing advances in range and faster charging. These improvements in battery technology making EVs more appealing because people aren't you know, having to worry about how long it's going to take to charge and stuff like that, because charging is getting faster and faster and faster. And of course, the expansion of charging infrastructure means that you need to worry less and less about how you're going to find the charger to charge the thing. And all of that builds consumer confidence. DriveElectric are building a little bit of a track record for these predictions. Their prediction of 19% electric sales for 2024 was absolutely spot on. So it does seem that they're onto something with their predictions. Now, of course, this isn't all good news. If their prediction is right and car makers sell 24% electric, that falls quite short of the 28% target set by the ZEV mandate. So this time next year, we're going to be having the same discussions about them fudging the numbers and the leeways and all that stuff. And I mean, I'm sure, like in the first story we had in this video, right, manufacturers will be able to get closer to that 28% by trading credits, borrowing from future years. And I think, like I said earlier, unless there's a sudden spike in demand, they might well find themselves almost with a credit deficit. If you borrow too much from future years, it's going to come back to bite you. And then those £15,000 per unit fines are going to be looming very, very quickly. How do you think DriveElectric's prediction is going to fare for the year ahead? Do you think 24% is realistic? Do you think it's high? Do you think it's low? And how do you think that's going to fare with the 28% ZEV mandate target? Will we be saying this time next year that, oh, well, you know, with the flexibility in the mandate, they managed to meet the target? Or will 2025 into 26 be the first time we'll see manufacturers have to actually pay those fines? Time will tell, I guess, but I'd love to know what you think. But that is it for another EV news. If you watched this one right to the end, please do make sure you click that like button. It really helps the algorithm promote the video and convince people that it's worth watching. And as we said earlier, if you're not subscribed yet, please do click subscribe with notifications turned on to make sure you don't miss out on the next one. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.